Ian Haworth is an editor at the Daily Wire, and we also have influential Democrat strategist Doug Schoen. He's here. He's also the author of the book, America, Unite or Die, How to Save Our Democracy. All right, first, let's get your quick take on the administration's response to the Russia threat against Ukraine. Here is the president talking about whether he'll help Americans should there be an invasion. Take a listen.
That's a world war. When Americans and Russians start shooting at one another, we're in a very different world than we've ever been in.
Not even on behalf of simply evacuating Americans.
No, how do you do that? How do you even find them? This is not like, I'm hoping that if in fact he's foolish enough to go in, he's smart enough not to in fact do anything that would negatively impact on American citizens.
But have you told him that?
Yes.
You've told that Americans will be a line that they can't cross?
Well, I didn't have to tell him that. I've spoken about that. He knows that.
Did he tell him? Did he not tell him? Ian, I'm going to come to you first. Every time it seems like he's talking tough, he then pulls back. Your thoughts so far on the administration's performance this week on this issue?
I don't think Joe Biden has ever spoken tough on anything to do with foreign policy. I think his entire career has been one foreign policy disaster after another. And I think after the absolutely terrible evacuation from Afghanistan, which really brought back memories of the evacuation from Vietnam, a lot of countries are going to be licking their lips right now. And the fact that Joe Biden can't even make it through a basic interview without a throat lozenge doesn't exactly show the level of strength that people like Putin and Xi are ever going to respect.
Doug, it seems like the messaging continues to shift here. You're the strategist. What are your thoughts on what you have seen and heard so far this week?
Well, Tom, there is no strategy. And I would say, as an American patriot, who's written a book called The Russia-China Axis, who believes that at the water's edge, we are all Americans, not Democrats and Republicans, that for the President of the United States to say he will not help Americans evacuate from a war zone is abhorrent. Yeah. Period. Full stop.
All right. Doug, a new CNN poll shows independent voters' support for President Biden down to 36%. In 2020, he won 54% of independents to Trump's 41%. You're a Democrat. What turns that around if you're looking at this?
Completely different policy. An effort to reduce inflation, reduce spending, hold the line on taxes, and offer people real economic opportunities rather than government handout. It's that simple.
Yeah, and I don't think we're going to be seeing that anytime soon.
No, we won't.
Unfortunately.
No, we won't.
Ian, the RNC and Mitch McConnell made news this week, injecting January 6th back into the cycle again. There was also this debate that went on for days over censuring Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger. They're trying to capture and hold on to these independent voters, presumably the Republicans, to bring them in November. But isn't talking about all of this stuff kind of a waste of time at this point when you're trying to convince people, hey, we've got a plan for leadership?
Well, I think there is space to talk about January 6th if you're acting in good faith, but I don't think anyone in the political sphere is acting in good faith. That's quite unusual for politicians generally. I think we're engaging and really handing them the premise that January 6th is still a major topic to be talking about when we're, as we've spoken about, looking at inflation, looking at massive employment issues, we're looking at huge foreign policy problems across the world. And we're engaging in what the Democrats want, which is to keep January 6th of this worst moment in American history at the forefront of people's minds, because they know for the midterms and the 2024 election that they want people to be running against Trump, even if Trump isn't on the ticket. And they're doing so by keeping January 6th in everyone's psyche. And I think the Republican Party just needs to address it as we have and just move on, because it's simply not that relevant anymore. I think some people don't think it was that big a deal. I think it was a terrible moment when it happened. But regardless, we need to move on, because the Republican Party will not benefit from keeping January 6th as a major issue today in 2022.
Yeah, especially inflation, highest since 1982. And with all of the issues that we're seeing, especially with crime, the workforce participation rate, and you need to have an agenda, because you have to win. Not just win because the other guy's lost. You win with a mandate, and that's the kind of messaging that I just don't see coming out of the Republicans in Washington just yet. Doug Schoen and Ian Haworth, thank you so much for being here. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Always a pleasure.
Thank you.